Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
With me today is abundance teacher and money coach, Jody Lynn Craven.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
Jody Lynn, we often have guests on, as you know, who have been through all kinds of trials and tribulations in life. And we enjoy hearing their stories because they also follow up with, this is what they learned from it. This is what they're sharing with the world. They develop these secrets and everybody's got to know about them. And it's really cool stuff. But we don't always get somebody who has been through severe trauma at a really, really young age, except today. Yeah. Because Avonley Lightstone, our guest today, started going through the trauma when she was 3. I mean, that's pretty young.
That's extremely young.
Yeah. And we're going to learn all about what happened there. So Avonley, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
We're glad to have you. And we got to find out what happened when you were 3 years old. I mean, that's really young to have to start dealing with traumas. So, I mean, wow.
Yeah, it is really young. My story started when I was 3 years old. Everything just I don't know, like everything just turned upside down. You just never know when life is going to throw you that hard curve, and it doesn't matter like what age you are, like you don't expect it. And that just happened to be when I was 3 years old. I remember being at my house and my siblings were in school, and I was left alone, and my mom was cooking food and her sari caught on fire. And she started screaming, yelling. And I went in and saw just how frightened she was. So I felt like I needed to help her. As a child, when you cry, your parent react and comfort you, right? And that's kind of like what I was in that state is, oh, my mom, she's hurt. What can I do? So I went to find my dad, but my dad was drunk and passed out, unresponsive, wasn't all there. And he just, I was shaking him. I remember just going down, shaking him like, help, help, help. But he just wouldn't respond. So I didn't know what to do. I just felt like, okay, well, I need to comfort my mom. So that's what I did. I went back to where she was at and just comforted her, hoping whatever she was going through would ease the pain from my hug. And I hugged her tight, and she was like pushing me away. And then all of a sudden I just felt the flames just all going on my body. And at that point you think like a child would stop and react to where the pain was coming from and just like nurture it. No, I just hugged her tighter because I just assumed like she's yelling and she's not really doing anything about it. So I will yell and we'll yell together. That's just how it was. And from my yell is when my dad woke up. And then I just remember being in the ambulance taken to the hospital. So that was the start of a rude awakening for me.
Yeah.
Was that day. And then the hospital was just something completely different as well. So I was placed. So I grew up in like a really, really poor area in one of the biggest cities in the world, Bangalore, India.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't like back then, we weren't like too advanced in technology. So I didn't have like the numbing pain to numb like the scars and the burns on my back. And I remember after being burned, they placed me in this big, gigantic bathtub to scrub the debris off of my back and my legs, just taking that out because you can't have that. And I didn't have any sort of numbing stuff to kind of help me. So Ouch. They just took, that was worse than being caught on fire itself. Like I would rather be burned because there's a point where your body just goes numb and you don't feel it anymore. So you could just bear it. And that's where I was at when I was burning. I just got to that point where I wasn't feeling any of my sensations. But like when they started scrubbing me, like the oxygen is coming back into the skin and your body is reacting and is in a hyper mode to heal. And so, yeah, that was like worse than anything that I was going through. And then I, like, if you could see, I'm not burned on my face or like my like chest area. So after they like scrubbed me, they placed me on a cot where I just air dried, like beef jerky, just air dried. And so I was placed on my stomach, just sitting, like laying there, couldn't do anything, and just like air dried. And my mom, she was wheeled next to me, and she was covered, like she was burned up from base all the way to the tips of her toes, completely looked like a completely different person. But I knew that was her because, you know, a child and a mother, they have like a strong bond when, you know, doesn't matter like what, like if you end up looking like something completely different, you still recognize through this energy and the spirit. So at that point, my mom, she was only alive for 3 days and then she passed away. But it was in that moment where I felt abandoned. Was at that moment because my dad, who how I mentioned he was drunk and passed out. And I think it was from the guilt of what had happened that he wasn't like there consciously to help us out. So he stopped showing up. So when I needed a parent to nurture me during that hardest time in my life, because that was the hardest time in my life. It was the starting point. I didn't have him. I didn't have anybody. And my family stopped showing up. My dad stopped showing up. So I had to recover at the hospital by myself when my mom was passed away. And in that moment was really hard because as a child, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what just happened, why it happened. You're just I'm trying to piece all this together, not understanding what was going on. And it would be nice having somebody there to like encourage you, like, hey, it's okay, you're gonna make it through. But I was just alone. Like, you got the nurses, they're doing their job, you know, they can't like really tend to you and be like a besties to you, you know, they're there to do their own job.
And there was no extended family either.
No, so my parents had 9 kids. And they were much from my oldest was a brother, he was 17, and then I was the second youngest, and then we had like a little baby. The rest of us were girls, and we were all just we were all Catholic. So my parents named us, all the girls, after Mother Mary, whether it's like a Catholic church, you know, if there was a name Mary in it or the meaning of Mary, we all were named like Mary. So anyways, so my dad stopped showing up. And once I recovered from the hospital and I was released, I then was able to pay respect to my mom. I remember I remember feeling like Mowgli off of Jungle Book, where he was completely like, he was in his blue underwear. I remember wearing blue underwear.
Really?
Going to this Catholic church, paying respect to Mother Mary. And I just remember just kneeling there and just kind of saying my little prayer. And then after that, my dad, he decides to take me to the orphanage.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
like, so right there, I felt rejected at the hospital. And then I
Yeah.
like came home thinking, I was so excited to see my family again, thinking like never thinking of something worse is going to happen.
Mm.
But then I get placed into the orphanage, and that rejection was so, I don't know how to even explain it.
That's just so over the top. It's even hard to grasp it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it really was. And so then, yeah, he puts me up for an adoption. And then 2 weeks later, he brings 3 of my other siblings for into the orphanage because he just can't take care of all of us. So my dad was really poor, and it makes sense. But the way that he did it with me was just, like there's a lot of guilt in the way he was processing of like not confronting the situation, but dismissing it and pushing it away. And like that was not like the right approach.
No, of course
But anyways, he ends up putting me up for adoption, and later brings my 3 other siblings. And then I remember running away with my older sister. Yeah, so we ran away from the orphanage twice.
Wow.
And my dad would take us back every time. And because that wasn't our home. My oldest sister at that time was around like 8, and she has like a good idea of like the geographic memory. And so I just followed her, and we just took our little baby sister, and I don't know how we did it, but we made it home a couple of times. So after 2 times of us just running away, he ended up taking us to an orphanage further away, where we attempted one more time to run away.
Wow.
And we just couldn't figure out where we were at. We were just kind of lost. And then we ran into a cop that took us back to the orphanage. So then at the orphanage, I think after that 3rd time of trying, we just accepted the fact that we're not going home, that we just got to stay where we're at. And so we didn't because we had a family and we knew the function of the family and the stability of a family and the role of a family. It was kind of different from going from having a structured family to a place where there's all these kids that don't have any parents, and they have their own rooms. They have like rooms, and we have all these rules to follow like in an orphanage. And we were having a hard time trying to digest what was going on, like because we didn't know what adoption was. We didn't know what was going on. But eventually they told us we were going into a new family, and that we were pretty much groomed to get ready for a family in America that absolutely wanted us. And so we would see people come in and out of the orphanage, coming to pick up their new orphan child. And some would come visit frequently, bringing presents and gifts. And we thought it was, this is so cool, because the energy that we saw of people coming in, like these people were genuinely like really kind and looking forward to having a child in their life. So we were just, I was actually pretty excited. I'm like, I can't wait till we get someone that would come over and be excited to have us. So we were really just getting groomed, ready to start acting like children that would be fit for an American family. And so we started learning English, the manners. So we were told to like get rid of like our culture in India, just like drop that and just focus heavily on just the American culture. And so I guess we just did it because we knew that there was nothing else for us to gain. Like, okay, well, I don't know where we're going, so we just did it.
Yeah.
So we were just groomed for that, and then eventually I get adopted with my two other sisters into the same family.
Okay.
And so we get adopted into this family here in Utah, where my mom ends up becoming really abusive
Ugh.
in her own ways. Yeah. So everything that and really when I first got adopted, I was totally fine. I was like, okay, this is my mom. I accepted it. I accepted my parents, my new family. And yeah, I just went in, like me and my sisters, we just went in and just was like, okay, we're good. Except for my oldest sister, Violet. She was not very keen about it because she did not know what was going on. And she was much older. She was 9 years old when she was adopted. And she had good memories of her family. And so when she got to this family, my adopted family, she had a hard time, a difficult time. And my mom had a hard time accepting the fact that we had a lot of memories of our family in India. And so I just want to say like a little bit backstory of my family, adopted family. So so I'm just going to call them my parents now. So my parents adopted 14 kids.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
So they adopted 3 boys and raised them before the rest of the 9 kids were adopted.
Wow.
Okay. And so some of the same patterns that happened to the older siblings that were already adopted was the same exact patterns that happened with what I went through. And there's always a scapegoat. There's always that golden child. And then there's those kids. I call them, I don't know the right wording, but I call them the filler kids, where they're just trying to do whatever they can to just absorb their mom's love. Like, okay, if I have to go against the scapegoat, then I will turn that person in to get them in trouble just to make sure that my mom sees me, praises me, gives me any sort of like love or joy. That's kind of like, well, the structure of our family. And it was...
I have a really bad feeling here. Who is the scapegoat?
Yep. Yeah, there was more than one, but yeah. I don't know. I don't really know why I turned out to be a scapegoat, because I was just a really good kid. I did everything like my mom wanted me to do. If she wanted somebody to clean something, I would just go do it because I just wanted to make her happy. And if she wanted anything, like I would be like, oh, I'll do it. Like whatever makes you happy, I'll do it. Like that's what I did. But so I don't understand. Like I was super shy, reserved, and just wouldn't say like anything to anyone. But it's just really hard to understand the grasp why she would use me as a scapegoat. But like, I guess that role does make sense because it cripples that person to prevent them from talking, right? So yes, so then I get adopted. Like I will say the first 6 months of my adoption was fine. Everything was just nice and peachy. And I just felt like exactly what the people in India was telling me, that I'm going to have a really good family. And it really was. I felt like I meshed in well with my family. I felt like my mom was really great. She was hugging me, you know, and she would always put like lotion on my back because my back was always itchy. And so I thought that was just really kind. And so there's like these certain gestures that she would do that I was just like, oh yes, I I'm feeling loved again, right? I'm
Mm.
feeling seen. And it was, I don't know when it happened, but it was when my oldest biological sibling started like, she never meshed well for the very beginning.
Mm.
She really needed that nurturing. She really needed that patient, someone that could just go in and tell her like, hey, everything's okay. I'm so sorry what you're going through. Giving her a chance to talk. She didn't have any of that. So she didn't feel like the place that she was at was a safe place for her to express herself.
Sure.
And she wasn't a bad kid either. She was a really good kid, but she just needed that extra attention to kind of help her overcome the trauma that she was going through.
And with
And
all
my
the
mom
kids in the
wasn't giving
family,
it.
that was, I mean, there's too many kids to be able to do that. I mean, regardless, I mean, I'm not excusing what your mom did, but when you have that many kids, it's just not possible to give that level of attention to all of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And like my sister was older and she was really great about taking care of her younger siblings. And she was really great about like taking care of me when I was in India too. And so she has that natural instinct to be a caretaker.
Yeah.
And my parents adopted, I would say, like 5 babies at the time I was adopted. So they had like babies that were still like super young and in diapers, and another one that was just barely born, maybe like 4 months after I was adopted. So like you got newborns, babies, and toddlers, all under the age of like 6.
Wow.
So a lot.
Yeah.
And my sister Violet, she actually wanted to help out many times, was wanting to like care for the kids, but my mom refused to have any of her help. She refused to let me help or any of us. The only person that she would allow help was from the golden child. And she just happens to be in the same grade age that I was in. And that was really hard because there was always competition of trying to be like staying up to par with her.
Which you couldn't do anyway.
But
there would be no way to do that.
I couldn't do it. No, there wasn't.
No matter what you did,
way.
no matter how well you performed, there's no, if the other one was the golden child, you were screwed. That was it.
Yeah, exactly. So like when I came to America, the language that we came with like 8 different dialects.
Wow.
And so then on top of that, English. So we came to a very rural area in Utah, and it was a ranching community. So I grew up on a ranch, and I loved it, but it was really hard for me because you have all this dialect, right? And then having to learn English in a small community where there's no Indians at all. It's just pretty much like 96% white folks, right?
Yeah.
And then to be perfectly honest, folks in Utah speak a little bit different version of English from the rest of the country. I mean, that's the polite way of putting it.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you're in a country, it's like, yeah. So yes, so I had a really good school teacher. She really worked with us kids to get our English up to par. And she dedicated her days after school and gave us like anything to encourage us to keep going, to keep fighting, and making it really fun. So every time we overcome certain obstacles, she would put money in the jar. And then she had this goal where we would go to this big city in Salt Lake City, and we would spend like 3 days with her, just going to like the zoo, going to the theater, going ice skating. It was just all this fun stuff that she was having us like try to accomplish towards. But So we ended up getting it, but every single time my sister, the golden child, her name's Molly, she would always come along with us. Every single thing any fun thing that we would do, she would always come along. And eventually I started finding out the reason why she would come along is because it was like she had to eavesdrop on what the teacher was saying to us or what we would be saying to the teacher. And then she would take it back to my mom. So she was rewarded for that kind of behavior. And it's really sad because everybody was wanting some sort of love and affection, and everybody was playing this role, even the golden child. I hate to like admit that, but like even the golden child is being groomed to behave in a certain way that's going to, play a really good vital role on being pleasing to making my mom look good. Right. So so there was just a lot of things that I was going through that was just a hiccup. Whenever I didn't do anything right, my mom would have me pick up a pile of rocks out on the field and fill a pickup truck of rocks just if I like misbehaved a little, or gathering like wood for the winter if I was misbehaving, just little things like that. And I was really good about taking good care of my space. Like I liked clean space. So where my other siblings didn't really do a great job of keeping their space clean, I don't know. I just always got up, made my bed, had all my stuff like picked up, and that would just tick her off. It would just get to the point where she would just come into my room and throw everything out. And she would tell all the kids, like, we got to clean up. And it's like, okay, well, my room is clean. I'm going to go play. And that would just trigger her. So she would just come up and just take everything. Like when I say everything, she would just take my bed apart. She would take everything underneath my bed, all the clothes off, just everything. Just say, okay, good luck. You need to clean that up. So then I would like just try to figure out what was going on and trying to, I didn't say anything. I just let it happen. And I just went to cleaning my space up. And that was just the typical thing, everyday lifestyle with her. It's just, I would do something that would always tick her off. And then like, it got to the point where my dad, he was just a really great guy. That's probably one person that really made a lot of our kids' day just so much more bearable. Is he didn't like talk ill about us. He actually would tell us like he didn't want us. He didn't want to adopt any of us. He didn't.
Wow.
And I actually liked that. I liked hearing him say that. But it turns out that he became the most loving guy that anybody could ask for. Anybody in our town would say that my dad was just a really great guy. If you ever got a good hug from him, like that was something special. He really made anybody that walked into his life feel like they felt special, like they were somebody.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate to have him in my life. But even with him, my mom was just, I don't know. She just had him under like some sort of a spell, like a control. Like he couldn't stand coming home. Absolutely couldn't stand coming home. And my mom never really did feed him. And so he was always going out to his grandpa. And he's a rancher. You're out there working all day. You're exhausted. You're working on the land. It's exhausting. It's tedious work.
Oh, yeah.
And the least you want to be able to come home feeling like your space, your home is a comfort place. all the kids were excited to have him come home. We could hear his truck a mile away. I knew Dad was coming, and we would be like out to the front door waiting for him with excitement. We were all just so excited. But my mom, however, she must have been just so jealous and didn't like that. And she would take a lot out on him. And it just got to that point where my oldest sister started going out with my dad on the ranch, and would go up on the mountain and herd cows and stuff. And it was around that time my sister was starting to develop, and my mom just got really upset. And there was this time when she just threw all of her clothes down and just started groping her and just doing things in front of me. Like, I saw my sister being attacked by my mom, and it wasn't like that my mom was trying to get pleasure out of it. It was more of like instilling fear into her. And this is just my interpretation. I just felt like she wanted her to feel so ugly about herself and her image that she would like go into hiding, right? And my sister, she didn't do that. She was resilient. She fought back, which I was really proud of. It's like something I wish I had. It's like, I wish I had the strength to fight back, but I didn't. I was just shy, and I would just cry in the corner alone, or I'd just go out in the field, just cry alone, just really scared. But it actually ended up traumatizing me to the point where when I was going through like I didn't hit puberty until I was like a senior in high school. And I think that was a blessing.
Wow.
It was definitely a blessing. But because I remember I would pray to God, do not give me any booze. Do not, like, I don't want to grow up, because I saw what my mom did to my sister. And I really didn't want that, because I didn't want that to happen to me. Sure. And so I would just pray and tell God, like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't want to be a lady. I don't want to grow up. And so I think that was a blessing for me. But then my mom would always end up saying stuff like to my sister, oh, you're doing things with my dad. And we were just adopted. We were only adopted at that point, like 2 years, 3 years. And my dad has never done anything like that to us. Nothing. He would never lay a hand on us like that. And so just hearing that was just so devastating. It's like, why would you say that to somebody? And my sister, it just got to the point where she pushed my sister away from my dad. And I just hung out with my dad a lot, of like, I'm not going to be around my mom. She's just so hard to be around. I can't, whatever I do, she doesn't even care to love me. She doesn't even care to approach me. She doesn't even care to like encourage me. Like even like how I was saying in school, where it just got to the point where I had dyslexia. And so the challenges were completely different from what I was like. The learning curve is completely different from what other kids go through. And I just needed somebody that would take the time to help me in the way that I understood things, but I didn't have that. But I was really blessed to have good teachers that did take the time out of their day to kind of help tutor me. Okay. And I have a very competitive mindset. If I'm not doing too well, if I see my peers doing better than me, I'm going to do my very best to try to compete, because I just don't like being down here if somebody's up here. And my sister, the golden child, was always up here. I was down here. So I actually seen her as a target to like chase after, not in a bad way, like in a good way. Like I was genuinely happy that my sister was smart and that she was getting loved by my mom. Like I didn't really ever take that out on her. I was just really happy that she had those. It's something I wish I had, and I never want like anybody that was what I was going through to be put on them. So yeah, so many times my teachers would say, yeah, she's failing this subject. She's failing. She really needs to catch up, or she might have to take this class again, and that's something I just wasn't really wanting to do. And so rather than my mom helping me, she puts me in the basement of my home. And I had like a small old desk. I think this desk was back in like the 1960s or 50s. It was an old desk.
Mm-hmm.
And she put me in the basement and gives me more homework to do, more lessons, but without explaining any process. It says, go do it. You're behind in school. You need to do this. It's funny because she was always volunteering for our school. She was always helping those that were misfortunate in learning. She was always helping them. She really had a gift of like teaching and connecting with students. And I really liked that, but I never got that from her.
Yeah.
She would just give me lessons and say, okay, go do them. And I remember I would just cry. Couldn't concept the idea that like, why isn't she helping me? If she could just like teach me what I need to do, then maybe I can figure out how to solve this math equation. But no, she didn't. And so she found pleasure in that because I would spend hours down there after I was just in school, just come straight home and go straight down in the basement. And that was just my school year, was going from school to down in the basement. And a lot of times if I didn't get anything done at a certain time, I couldn't eat. So there was times, yeah, so there was a lot of times I was gone without meals. If like how I mentioned, like things that triggered her, like my clean space, she would make a mess and say, no, you can't come down to eat. And so even after I cleaned it, like, hey, I'm hungry, can I eat? No. So it just got to the point where I was scared to even go in the kitchen. And if I did, I would have to hurry and like sneak a little cracker, because even just like a little bit of something would help me. But somehow she would always know. She had like cameras set up somewhere. We didn't have cameras, but it seemed like she had cameras everywhere because her eyes were everywhere. She just knew when something was missing. And if anything was missing or was out of the ordinary, it was me that would get blamed. And then I would have to go out to the rock pile, get more rocks or gather up wood, or another awful chore that she would have me do all the time would hang everybody's clothes on the hanger on the clothesline. And in the wintertime, it would get so cold. And if you can imagine how many kids there was, and I had to go out, my fingers would just burn and I would cry because it was just so cold, but I had to do it. And there was this one time I actually did complain and said, why can't I just have a different chore? Why can't we rotate chores? I would like to do the bathroom. I would like to do the dishes because I really liked doing dishes. And at one point I did have the chore as dishes, and she took that away because I enjoyed it. So she took that away. But like, it's just like stuff like that. She would just take things away and give you the worst thing. And then she would just place blame, say, oh, you have a problem with that? You don't want to do that? Then I'll have so-and-so do it. And you don't have to worry about it. Make me feel really guilty, which that wasn't the purpose of talking to her. It's just, I just wanted to be rotated. I want other people to feel how it felt to hang clothes out in the cold air. It was hard.
I mean, you clearly had a lot. You had a mom who had serious issues. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
No kidding.
And you grew up having to survive all of that. Somehow,
Yeah.
though, you came out okay at the end. I mean, I don't know about you, Jody Lynn. I'm kind of wondering how you did that.
Yeah.
I mean, because seriously, I mean, that's a lot.
And how are you
that
still
could,
standing? Yeah.
that could bend anybody's mind, and yet you somehow came out apparently a pretty healthy woman. So how did you do that?
So I think I was really fortunate enough to be raised in a religious home. So my parents, if you know, majority of Utah are LDS.
Mhm.
And so I grew up in an LDS home. So I really admired knowing that God existed.
Ah.
So like in my church, they talked about like when I was little, and I think one of my Sunday school teachers said this to me because I was going through a hard time. We were just barely adopted. So a way for us to like if we needed help, if we wanted to talk to my mom, hey, there's afterlife, you know, God really cares about you, you know, speak to him, tell him whatever is on your mind. And I really took that to heart because I actually really needed it. So every single time I remember any single time that I would have a hard time, I would go out in my field in like because my parents had a lot of land. So I was able to go to like certain areas in my field and just pray and have the space alone and just pray to myself. And then other times I would be like out on this big, huge like rock pile that was just a fence because it was just a lot of huge boulders stacked next to each other, which created a fence. And I remember just going out there and preaching to the cows like,
Wow.
Hey, I'm going to tell you about God. So I would talk to him about God. And it was just like a really touching time. And during those times, I remember feeling so good. There's that warm feeling, that warm, fuzzy feeling. And I really liked it. I'm like, I really like this space. This is my happy space. And that's kind of like, I believe where God really was there. He was there like molding me. You know, he was actually protecting me in many ways because there was a lot of things that were happening in my family where my brothers became like sexually abusive to my other adopted sisters. Ugh. And they would do things and I would tell my mom like, hey, so and so is doing this, and she would just dismiss it. She would not go help my sisters. So it was really sad because they were just barely adopted. And after 6 months of adoption, my brother started sexually abusing them. Wow. And one of them ended up getting UTI all the entire time that she was like, I would say all the way until she was a junior or a senior in high school. Wow. Is when it stopped.
Wow.
And then her UTI just went away. But like, yeah, I would tell my mom like, hey, so-and-so is doing this. And she just would dismiss it. And my sister would pee her pants in bed. And my mom would get so upset. And she was like 9. Tell her to go out, take her clothes, do her laundry out in the creek, and wouldn't like let her do laundry in the house. She had to do it in the creek, and she had to get up early to take care of that. And so her laundry would be hanging, her bedding would be hanging on the fence, and that's what she would do. And it was like in the wintertime, it actually haunts me when you could hear her cry. And it was a ways away where the creek was, and you could hear her wailing and crying. And I know how that feels, like hanging clothes up on a clothes hanger in the wintertime. Your fingers get really numb really fast. And here's this 9-year-old girl always going down to the creek, washing her clothes wow. all the time. And my mom had no sympathy or care whatsoever. And that's just like the lifestyle we were in. And yeah, I would help my sister as much as I could, but like it didn't matter what I would do or say, my mom would never help out. She just wouldn't ever help out. And
It's
so,
almost unimaginable to go to think about what you went through. I mean, Jody Linton, I know you and I were just sitting here like mouth agape listening to the story.
Yeah.
And trying to imagine how would we have survived that one. I don't even know what the answer is on that one.
Yeah.
but that's the thing. You just never know. Like my mom is well known in the community, well known in the church, and she's always volunteering. She's always like people loved her, and there's people that knew what was going on, but they wouldn't say anything because they, you're messing with somebody that's well known in the community, and she's always winning. And so that was just really hard because some of us did go out to our bishop telling him what was going on. He wouldn't do anything about it. And this bishop ended up also being a cop and still wouldn't help out. Yeah. And there was just so many things. I could just like tell you stories after stories of the things that my mom put us through and not having anybody there. And we lived in, I think the population of our town at the time was like 400. So not very many
Everybody
people.
knows everybody. Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. Yeah. And so if anything had happened, then you got in trouble. There was a time when whenever I went shopping, whenever my mom went shopping, she would give each of the kids $5 to spend at like DI. And I remember there was this pink nail polish, and I really wanted this pink nail polish. And my mom wouldn't give me any money. And so we were at a thrift, it's called DI, Deseret Industry, which is a thrift store. And it was only like 25 cents. And I remember just putting it in my pocket. And I stole it. And I showed my one of my sisters, and she told the golden child, and the golden child told my mom, and my mom called them up and told me that I'm going to go to jail if I don't confess. And then it became, I'm like, I'm really sorry. I don't want to do that again, which was in the summertime. And then when Halloween came, she kept me from going trick-or-treating because I stole that nail polish back during the summertime. And then during Christmas, there was this one gift my teacher gave me, and it was a pop-up tent where I can use my imagination. Oh, I was so thrilled to have this pop-up tent. And when I went and reached for that gift, because I knew it was mine, she took that away from me and said, "Hey, you stole that nail polish." And that was like 7 months ago, and she still like punished me for that. And to this day, I still don't have that pop-up tent, and it's still down in her basement unopened. So throughout the years, I would always go down whenever I was sad. I would just look at that pop-up tent and just imagine me playing with it just feeling so sad, but I never touched it once.
So are you still at home there?
No.
I was going to say, I mean, at some point, I imagine that the nightmare ended. Tell us about that.
So I had to leave. So I graduated from high school is when things started making sense to me. I was in college, and I started seeing how my peers were acting, how safe they were. I was really reserved, always like looking around, seeing like if I'm doing something right or if I'm doing something wrong. I was always on edge, but I'm like an observer. I learned from observing. So I was watching my peers. I would see some that were really confident. I would see some that weren't as confident. And I started realizing that I grew up in an abusive home, and it wasn't okay. And it wasn't until I actually ended up getting married when I really dove into healing. And when cause I got pregnant like 4 months after I got married, like super fast. I was so angry with God on that one. I'm like, I did not want to have kids that early because I had a lot that I needed to clean up, and I didn't want to put that on my kids.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was really upset with God. And in that moment, I told myself I needed to heal before my kids get older, because I didn't want to take a lot of like the garbage that my mom placed on me on my kid. And so I did a lot of internal like a lot of work to just like heal myself. And you have to go inward. As hard as it is, you have to face your problems. You have to go to that space where that child wasn't nurtured, and the person that has to nurture it is you.
It's ongoing too. I mean, it's not like one and done. You have to keep working on it. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it is an ongoing process, and it's just one of those. I came up with this method called the I shed method, where you have to identify the source. You have to go in and you have to do some self-reflection and seeing the damage. And you have to understand that by denying it, you're only holding yourself back. Denial is one of those poisons that's going to hold somebody back from truly seeing the true potential of freedom that they can get. And if they want to heal as fast as they can, they have to like face it head on.
And this also led to a book. Tell us about how that came about.
Yeah, so that was like the process. So as I'm like doing like internal work, one of the things that I would do was I was always like journaling, right? I was journaling the events that was happening in my life. And there was like letters that I would say, nasty letters that I was purposely wanting to send my mom to let her know like what she did was not okay. But I actually never sent them. I had this feeling not to send them because it was actually for myself. So then there was a point where I went through this forgiveness process where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to say sorry to my mom. I'm going to just like move on because that's what God would want. So I would say sorry to my mom and she would dismiss it like, hey, like nothing had happened. She would never apologize, never say sorry, never hold accountability. But I just felt like the direction that our family was going, there's going to be a division, especially where everybody was moving out on their own, graduating from high school. We wanted this so-called happy family that the LDS always implement is this happy family. You're going to have a happy family in their eternal life. I just didn't understand that. Like, how are you going to have a happy family if you can't even work on it in the physical life? It just didn't make sense to me. So I just felt like I needed to talk to her. So I would talk to her many times, and it was scary because I'm not one to like I said, I was always shy. I'm not one to have confrontation agreements or arguments with her. It was just as peaceful as I could get. So I would like talk to her here and there because I felt like that's what God wanted me to do. And it was. I really needed to make sure I was holding myself accountable to make things right. And I told her the pros and cons of like what healing would look like and where we could start from fresh. And if we didn't forgive and say sorry, the direction, the outcome it will end up being, which is what's happening now. Well, it never ended up happening. Like I said, she would always dismiss it. And I remember like praying to God and saying, I'm doing everything I can. I'm a good girl. I'm taking everything onto me. Every blame, every like problem is thrown at me. I'm the problem for everything. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being in a family that doesn't even care for me. I'm tired of being in I remember like asking God, like, why did you take me instead of my mom?
Yeah.
Like, at least my mom had all these other kids she could take care of. Why did you spare me instead of her? She could at least raise all those kids. I would have just been like a 3-year-old that would have been forgotten And I just didn't understand. Well, then it just got to that point where God was like, because I was suicidal. I don't know if I told you this. I was suicidal that entire time.
I'm
There
not
was
surprised.
many times I was like wanted to take my life, and even it was affecting me in my marriage. There was times where like things would haunt me, and I just couldn't take it. I just wanted to end my life, thinking like I'm not good for anything. Like I'm better off somewhere like gone than being here ruining people's lives. And so I just told God, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, if these are the kind of thoughts, those are not healthy thoughts, and those are not good thoughts to have when I'm raising a child. Like, I can't, I got to overcome this. And then God literally just said, "You're fine. You did everything you could. You're fine. Now, turn to me everything that you wish you had in a mom, everything that you wish you could have like talked to her about, like be excited to her about, it just anything. Now turn to me because your parents literally failed you. Like there's nothing you could do about it. You can't change them. They have to like they have their own life. They have their own journey that they have to go on. So I'm not on that same path anymore." So he literally just pivoted my way of thinking and said, "Everything you wish you had, turn that to me." And I'm like, "Okay, so from now on, you want me to talk to you about my, like, what I wish I had in a mom, or, just," he's like, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." I'm like, "Okay." So I did that. And guess what? I've never had any problems with suicidal thoughts.
Wow.
Since you started doing
Nothing.
that. Wow.
Yeah. He just lifted all that burden off. And like, yeah, I'm still working on a lot of internal stuff. And this is why I wrote this book. After a few years going through that forgiveness process, I'm like, I'm going to leave my life behind me. I'm just going to move on. And then one day he's like, "You're going to write that book." I'm like, I don't want to write that book. I left that behind. I'm done. He's like, "It's not for you. It's for people that are hurting. There's my people that's needing to hear me. There's people that needs to be healed just like you are. And so by sharing your story, maybe somebody can resonate." So that is why I wrote this book. I actually ended up writing 4 books.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 books, and they're all an autobiography of like the different phases of my life. And this one's called The Strength of Scars, and it's talking about the childhood, the innocence of a child that doesn't really understand like what abuse is or interpret what abuse is. And you can clearly see that when you read that book. And the second book is called Letting Go. And it's what I was talking to you about, like forgiveness, like going inside yourself, shedding, going through forgiveness. That's the second book, and like the different problems that come with it. And then the third book is called It's Just Temporary, because when you go through the second phase, and I call this method I came up with, is called the 5-step eye shed method. When you go through this eye shed method and you kind of go through this cleaning of yourself, and you're making yourself from old to gold, you are healing yourself. And you take the third book and you see all the things that happened in my second book as, oh, yes, those trials are just that. It's a season in life. It's just temporary. It comes and go. And it's how we decide to look at it. And it becomes easier when you face certain trials. And then my fourth book, it's called Going from Old to Gold. It actually is a blueprint of all what trauma is about and what abuse is and how we can overcome it. And I talk about the eye shed method in a deeper level. And I talk about how people like use denial as a source of that they're not in abuse, and it's actually crippling them. So it's more of like a guide to understanding the things that are holding you back. And if you're wanting freedom, you gotta face your problem. You gotta dig deep, even though it's really hard. and you gotta forgive. It's not about like trying to get recognition from somebody else to say, yeah, I forgive you too. No, it's not. It's forgiveness is a personal thing. It's between you and God.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And then it's just a method to kind of help people grow and find that freedom and heal from their past traumas.
It's an amazing story and traumatic, and I'm kind of sorry we've used up the hour to hear the whole story rather than have a chance to talk.
Sorry.
But no, that's all right. We do have a couple of things we like to finish up the show with each time. First of all, for somebody who wants to find the books, I presume the books are available Amazon. Are they available everywhere? I mean, tell people where they can find the books.
So my first book is the only book that's been published.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for that right timing to publish the other books.
Okay.
So this book, you can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes & Noble. Mm-hmm. If you want more information, you could just go to avonleylightstone.com and you could get a free chapter of my first book to get a gist of what my book is about. Mm-hmm. And if you want to follow me on social media, it's at Avonley Lightstone. One reasons why I actually wrote this book is actually to try to find my dad in India.
Oh my!
Because I want to reconnect with him. I want to forgive him. I also want to just say sorry, and hoping that me saying sorry to him will give him some sort of like peace back into his life, letting him know like everything is okay on my end, like things worked out, like live your life in peace for the rest of your life. That's another reason why I wrote this book, is to try to hunt down my family in India.
Yeah. Okay. And we hope that it actually leads to that result. That'd be a wonderful result.
I hope so.
It'd
be
nice.
nice.
Do you welcome contact from people who just want to reach out to you?
Say what?
Do you welcome contact from people who just want to reach out to you?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to specify that because, you never know what the listeners are going to do. We have quite a few listeners, and one of them might want to reach out. So I just wanted to make sure that was an okay thing.
Oh, absolutely. And eventually I want to do like this newsletter where I can bring trauma survivors and share their stories in my newsletters. So I'm just starting this journey. So bear with me as I'm building this platform. Sure. But it would be great to I think by sharing each other's stories, we kind of build each other up. So yes, I definitely want to connect with people. Because that's the whole purpose of me getting out there, is to help share my story and hear other people's story.
I hear you. Yeah. Jody Lynn, you and I didn't have a whole lot to contribute today, but what's your takeaway from what you were hearing?
Oh my gosh, Avonley, I think it's extraordinary how you can sit here after all of that with a smile on your face, for one. But some things that struck me throughout the conversation today is how much you were impacted by the love of certain people. You're talking about your dad and how loving he was, that school teacher, these people that made a difference in your life, God, all of these different things that helped you along the journey. And I think it's extraordinary that you could go through so much trauma and so much pain, and with so much courage emerge the other side and face all of those things, be strong enough to face all of those things and still be smiling. You are a light in this world, and you are a beacon for other people who have been through really tough things, that they can do it too. So thank you for that today.
Yeah, thank you. And I do want to point out with what you were saying, when people are smiling like myself, and we went through a hard time, there's actually a lot of people that's kind of their symptoms that they use, is they just act as if nothing is happening to them. So that's why it's always important that we're always spreading kindness and just being kind to anybody, because you never know their lifestyle or what they're going through.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And it actually leads to the final point I like to make on every show, and it applies very much in this case as well. That I know that you're doing this show, you probably do other podcasts as well. I'm sure you're reaching out all the different ways you can to share your story, and the story is being heard by people that you've never met, never seen, never will meet, and they're being affected in ways that you don't even know about. We don't tend to get credit for that anymore. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of being in the 21st century. So I like to say on behalf of those people you've never met, never seen, never will meet, never will see, on their behalf, thank you for the story you're sharing, because you're making a difference in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for letting me be on this platform to share my story. That's my whole ultimate goal, is to reach as many people as I can and just make a difference, bring a smile back into their life, and cheer them on, root them on. There's people, everybody, like my title is called Strength of Scars, and it applies to everybody. Everybody has scars. It doesn't matter if it's physical and internal. Your scars just tell a story. It tells what you've gone through.
Well, thank you for sharing the story, and best of luck with your continued journey. I mean, you indicated that you just started, so keep going. Just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, I think you're going to make a big difference in this world. So thank you very much. And thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.